Arizona, one of the most permissive states in terms of firearms in the U.S. This Western setting serves as a backdrop for the largest training center in the region. 1,300 hectares devoted to training not just future sharpshooters, but also ordinary citizens desirous of learning how to use a weapon. These novices have come from all over the country, and today is their first day.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ken. I'm the CEO here at Gunsite. If you don't know, we're the oldest privately owned and operated shooting school in the world. Now, military and law enforcement have been training folks longer than us, but we train earth people, regular folks, and we're very proud of that. We got the best instructors in the business. We're not a club, we're not membership driven, we're a training academy, and you have to earn your way into being an instructor. Now, there is one other grand tradition that we have done here for many years. I'm very proud to carry that tradition on. And unlike some members of collegiate and national sports, we stand and show appropriate reverence when we say the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a great way to start the week, isn't it?
Allegiance to the flag beneath a photo of Colonel Jeff Cooper. He created the Gunsite Academy in 1976. Former Marine and veteran of World War II and the Korean War, he went on to become an agent of the OSS, the forerunner of the CIA. His vision is to make America a highly trained country which would be able to defend itself against any aggressors. These novices will follow an intensive 5-day course for the modest sum of $2,000. The trainers include former Marines, snipers, and infantry commanders who served in Iraq or Afghanistan, and also police marksmen.
Eric Ingersoll, the background's 30 years in law enforcement in California. Primarily worked SWAT and gang enforcement my entire career. As a SWAT officer, sergeant, sniper, retired at the rank lieutenant, commanding the team and a lot of the special investigations units and narcotics, vice, gangs, and all that kind of stuff. Any questions? All right. Target. Fire.
Each one of them has their own reasons for taking part in the course. Johanna is 72 and drove more than 20 hours from her Idaho ranch to perfect her shooting skills.
I'm driving down here by myself, going through Nevada. There's no other cars on the road. What if one of these idiots comes along, you read about them, pulling in front of you, cuts you off? What are you going to do? I want to feel confident that I know what to do.
The Second Amendment stipulates that Americans have the right to bear arms and defend themselves. In most states, they can buy as many weapons as they want on the same day. There's no limit.
Okay, the line is safe.
And what's more surprising, they don't need to know how to use them. Taking shooting lessons is not mandatory. If their weapon is hidden, then they need to have a permit. But if the gun is visible on their belt, then no permit is necessary. Using one's own means of defense and not having to rely on anyone else are part and parcel of the nation's founding myths. The image of the solitary white man surviving hostile land, prey to attacks by savages. For Jennifer Carlson, sociologist and historian at the University of Tucson, Arizona, America's past is intertwined with the history of firearms.
Guns have been core tools in sort of the making of American statehood and American society since the beginning. And we can see that with regard to the early American Republic, with regard to the Revolutionary War and, throwing off the British. We can see guns in terms of Western settlement and genocide of indigenous peoples. It really is part of the origin story of the U.S., and it's a thread that continues to be woven through American society. The genre of Wild West films is interesting because it's very much about consolidating this imagery of what is a real American.
Make it fast, Slippery. This is your last draw. You'll never handle guns again, Morgan.
And we often see these sort of incredibly flat, stylized tropes of, whether it's indigenous people, whether it's Mexicans, whether it's African Americans, so people of color, and they're really only there to make possible this sort of fearless, self-reliant, independent, being.
What's the matter, scared?
Who, me? Scared?
All right.
Yes! Thanks to you and your men.
So we don't see the massive brutality, and both massive in the sense of egregious, but also mass brutality, the mass genocide of indigenous peoples. We don't get confronted with that side of what the quote unquote settlement of the West, which was really a violent genocidal project, we don't get confronted with that. Instead, we get this sort of frontier myth of what it means to be an American, which is very much wrapped up in whiteness and in masculinity.
Threat. 2 shots up your chest.
Back at Gunsite, the course continues for the 46 participants.
To the right.
Day and night, for hours on end, they learn how to become skilled shooters.
Got a guy with a Coke can. Shooter, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, draw to low ready.
And how to use their weapon in all sorts of situations. While some reenact the Battle of Fallujah,
Good shot. Good.
others are trapped in a house, attacked by a dozen assailants.
Got a shooter? Gun.
Good. Okay, let's see what we did. All right. This guy's got a shotgun.
Right.
Okay. Bigger gun. Since he's got a shotgun, I'm shooting him in the head.
Got it.
That's the only shut off.
The instructor explains how to shoot and kill the
It's not
intruder.
like TV or movies. You shoot someone, that doesn't mean they're going to quit. Everyone thinks this is the threat. It's not. He is the threat. So to make this stop for sure, I have to stop him. And the best place to stop him is right through the eye socket here, to get into his brain pan. Anywhere in here, he may not stop.
But if you shoot him in the head, his chances of survival are slim to none, right?
I want it to be none.
Don't think twice about killing in self-defense. This is the motto of Gunsite. For Ken Campbell, head of the center, this is an unalienable right.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. My right to own a firearm was not granted to me by the government. It was given to me by God. Some of the anti-gun folks want to make more laws. Murder's already against the law. Shall we make it double murder? Not as in two, but do we need to make murder twice as bad?
But isn't it true that there are more gun-related deaths in the United States than anywhere else in the world?
No, I don't believe that's correct.
You don't believe it's correct?
I do not. You look at statistics. Let's just go to our southern border in Mexico, and they have a lot of gun laws. And let's look at the deaths there and compare those.
We managed to get hold of the FBI reports. Despite what Ken Campbell says, the figures prove that the U.S. have 33% more firearms offenses than in Mexico. In fact, on the other side of the border, it's almost impossible to legally obtain a gun. Most of the murders committed in Mexico are carried out with illegal weapons that have come from the U.S. Yesenia Pizarro is a criminologist. She has conducted a study of the gun scourge.
Every gun starts legal. Guns get into the illegal markets via secondary markets or theft of your gun. Somebody purchases their gun in the South States or goes and purchase 10 guns or whatever, and then they could sell them in the black market in the states with more restrictive gun laws. Every gun has like a serial number, and the gun is defaced, and then it appears all of a sudden somebody gets killed, and they find the shell casings, and if they find the weapon, they realize that this weapon was defaced and it's not registered to anyone.
So getting hold of a weapon is child's play. Each time there is a mass shooting, people seem surprised at how easy it is for the perpetrators to have weaponed up, sometimes acquiring a whole arsenal in no time at all. The Columbine Massacre is an example of this. 2 teenagers went on a rampage in a high school armed with carbines, 9mm shotguns, and several pistols. 15 people died and 24 were injured. Then the shooting at the Virginia Tech Institute, where a 23-year-old man armed with 2 semi-automatics opened fire, killing 32 people and injuring 23 others. At the Sandy Hook Elementary School, 20 children and 6 teachers were killed. At Parkland, 17 pupils died. Sickening statistics and incalculable suffering which have moved the entire nation. Orlando, Florida. Behind this memorial is a former nightclub called The Pulse. It was an institution for the local gay community. It was a scene of one of the biggest shootings in U.S. history. Brandon can recall every minute of this tragic night. He survived, but his best friends weren't so lucky. On the evening of June 12, 2016, Brandon and his friends Drew and Juan entered the club.
We got here just after midnight, ordered the same drinks we always ordered, and then went out onto the patio to hang out with one another.
At 1:58 in the morning, a man carrying an AR-15 rifle came into the Pulse. A few minutes later, he started firing.
So as the night was ending, Drew and his partner Juan were really intent on finishing their last dance together. And I just needed to use the bathroom before we called an Uber home. So I stepped into a bathroom that's just over here. And everything about it was so normal in the moment until it was abnormal. There were gunshots. The music was still going and the bass, you could still feel it in your feet, but it was like the whole club was silent for a moment. And then gunfire again, this time louder and not stopping. About a dozen people rushed into the bathroom with me, and they looked like they had seen the most terrifying thing they had ever seen. And so this group of people decided to run for it. So I locked arms with them, and we ran.
The gay community was deliberately targeted. The culprit was overtly homophobic. He'd been planning his attack for several weeks after having seen a gay couple kiss in the street. Drew and Juan, Brandon's friends, were among a heavy casualty list. In all, 49 people died, with 53 wounded. At the time, it was the worst mass shooting in the country's history. Brandon Wolf has not remained silent. He's even become one of the most militant anti-gun activists of his generation. He's met with politicians. He's spoken in front of Congress. He's done everything to ensure that victims of the Pulse are never forgotten. And he's still fighting to obtain financial compensation for the survivors of the tragedy. His friend Amanda has long-term physical and psychological scars. After being hit by 4 bullets, she's been on a long road to recovery, learning how to walk and use her right arm again. But it's not the wounds to the flesh which are the hardest to forget.
When I go out at night, I'm always looking at exits to making sure my surroundings, just in case, if I have to, run or escape again. And also I get this fear every now and then that what if somebody's out there that still wants to finish the job? So it's hard on the emotional level. Nobody has the right to take your life away from you or your family.
There was a mass shooting 3 days ago or 4 days ago in Tennessee at a school. 13 people were shot, and it didn't even make the nightly news because it just happens so often that it's not even the most outrageous thing that's happening in our country right now. Why would I want to bring a child into that world? Why would I want to bring a child into a world where they're going to spend the first 18 years of their life practicing, how to use their backpack to, tie somebody's gaping wound in a classroom?
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
This provocative awareness campaign was created by a pressure group to force the government to react.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
The group calls for the detection of early warning signs in those students susceptible of becoming killers. How has this distortion in the U.S. come about? In Arizona, one woman has openly defied the government.
And I would like to welcome our first witness, the gentle lady from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. Mr. Chair, I'm dying in slow motion. My life will be cut short by the complications of my gunshot wound. November 15th, 2004 was such a beautiful night. I was holding my fiance's hand as we drove to dinner. We were 36 hours back from our dream trip to Fiji, where we committed to marrying. In that idyllic moment, someone fired a gun.
At the age of 54, Jennifer Longden's life was turned upside down in a Phoenix shopping center.
Alexa, lock front lock.
A bullet to the neck left her paraplegic.
Alexa, all lights on.
Another bullet hit her fiancé in the head, leaving him in a vegetative state.
Hello, babies.
The couple were victims of a random shooting without motive. The attackers had mistakenly targeted them. A significant number of Americans are victims of this every year.
I have absolutely no idea who shot me. There have been a lot of working theories by law enforcement, but no one has ever been caught, no one's ever been charged. So 17 years later, I still don't know why. Was it someone who hated us that much that they wanted to kill us? Someone who mistook us for someone else? Someone who just fired a gun in that direction and we just happened to be there? I don't know, but it's no different than lots of other folks who get shot in the United States. We're not more violent in the United States. We don't have more mental illness in the United States. We don't have more lawlessness in the United States. We have more handguns. We have more firearms. That's what is different here than anywhere else in the world.
Jennifer Longden was a businesswoman who'd never dreamed of getting into politics. But the calamity that she was involved in changed everything. She became a dissident voice in the region and was elected to the House of Representatives in Arizona. At the Phoenix Congress, her fight against guns has taken on a special meaning.
So this is my office, and I fill it with the things that inspire me, from Christopher Reeve, disability icon, to Gabby Giffords. Gabby was serving in Congress, and a man fired a gun and killed many, and Gabby was wounded. She was shot in the head. You can see, if you look at the photo, you can see the scar from her trach tube.
The tragedy that befell Gabby Giffords shook the whole of Arizona. However, in the House of Representatives in Phoenix, it's virtually impossible to pass any law limiting the access to guns, even the most simple ones.
Every year I've run a very simple bill around safe storage. If a child in your home is injured because you didn't safely secure your firearm, you're facing a fine. That's all, a fine. And I haven't been able to get that bill heard. I run it every year, but I can't get it moved into a committee. I think that it's possible to do it. I have to believe that in order to keep doing it. If this were easy, we'd be done. And it's not simple. It's not. But I believe that little by little by little, we're going to make a difference.
But this seems like a utopian dream at a time when the U.S. has never had so much of its population armed since its creation. Arivaca, a few kilometers from the Mexican border. This deserted area, located along the wall started by Donald Trump, is the epicenter of a battle between armed militias, immigrants, and cartels.
Matt, you're the tracker. Got. Got him here, got him here. Coming across. There he is again. Right here. I know it's a female. And that's the big guy.
Tim Foley and his team practice tracking several times a year. Their goal is to capture people who try to cross the frontier in the hope of finding refuge.
I do it a lot by myself. Just driving down the road and I'll see somebody, a group of guys tucked in the bushes. I'll just stop and yell, "Tucson!" And they go, "Oh, see Tucson." I'll get in the back. They get in the back and I bust out my satellite phone and call Border Patrol, tell them where I'm at, which direction I'm going and where to meet me. I'll drive up to usually that spot and they're there waiting. It's like, sorry boys, no ride to Tucson. Well, they get a ride to Tucson, but a different ride.
The aim of these militiamen is to ensure the country's protection and support the border police, who some think are failing. Legally, there's nothing to stop them as long as they hand over their captives to the police rapidly. For the most part, they're former military men specialized in weaponry. Veterans of Iraq or Afghanistan who've returned to the U.S. disillusioned and affected by post-traumatic stress.
Should be flying an American flag.
They found a purpose in life by following Tim Foley, a former works manager in the construction industry who lost everything during the subprime crisis of 2008. He's an ardent fan of Donald Trump and was part of the mob of extremists who stormed the Capitol in January 2021.
In the first month Biden was elected, 5 million firearms were sold, just in that 1 month. And in the United States, in the citizens' hands, there's more weapons in the hands of the citizens
than the 26 largest standing armies on the planet combined. That is why they do not want to mess around. The Founding Fathers, the Constitution is easy to follow. They made it short, quick, simple. It's to protect us against the government if they become too tyrannical. They're pushing.
The small town of Arivaca has a population of barely 700, and the nearest police station is a 2.5 hours drive. This is why some inhabitants are reassured by the presence of militia in the region. And yet, this small town was a scene of a terrible tragedy which still haunts people's minds. On May 30th, 2009, 3 members of the militia broke into this house, supposedly belonging to a Mexican drug trafficker. They opened fire. A father and his 10-year-old daughter were killed on the spot. The mother rang the emergency services. The following recording bears witness to the violence of the incident.
911, where's emergency? No, somebody just came in and shot my daughter and my husband. They shot them? How old is your daughter? She's 10. 10? And where were they shot? In the head. In the head. They're coming back in. They're coming back in. Hello? Are you still there? Are you okay? I can't even move. I've been shot myself. Ma'am, please, hurry.
This is a classic case which demonstrates the dangers of armed militias when ordinary citizens decide to take justice into their own hands, unchecked by authority. Tim Foley is convinced that without him, the region would be a lawless zone invaded by the drug cartels.
See this guy walking down the hill? In the back of him, he's got a buttstock. There's his rifle. There's his extra magazines. It is a war. This is how the country was founded. Civilians have to step up and protect their own. And so that's what we do.
The right of U.S. citizens to bear arms and to have a well-regulated militia necessary to the security of a free state is at the heart of the Second Amendment. But for many, these phrases written into the Constitution are steeped in the racist history of the U.S. Historian Jennifer Carlson is convinced that the militia mentioned in Article 2 referred to slave patrols.
At that time, the state militia was the slave patrol. So if the federal government, by virtue of the US Constitution, didn't protect a state's right to have a militia, or in other words, have a slave patrol, that could fundamentally undermine the system of slavery that was part and parcel of the United States at its founding. There was lots and lots of concern about slave rebellion, about insurrection, about the idea that enslaved peoples would understandably rebel. And so without a slave patrol, there was a lot of fear among whites that this whole system wouldn't be tenable.
Without an armed militia, how could more than 1 million slaves on American territory be monitored? The fears of revolt were realized with Nat Turner's slave rebellion. In Virginia, 1831, Turner led a bloody insurrection against white slave owners. Militias then exacted terrible retaliation. Nat Turner was hanged, cut up, and beheaded, and hundreds of slaves were massacred as a deterrent.
The threat was met really with an extreme show of force. And so we see this not just in terms of the brutality of slave patrols, but also the brutality of white supremacist militias in the aftermath of the Civil War, so the Ku Klux Klan. We see this in the context of lynch mobs. And then, of course, we see this all the way into the so-called self-defense shootings in which, we have African Americans and people of color being gunned down. These are very much embedded in the racial politics of the United States.
The last 2 years have seen acts of serious violence against the Afro-American community.
You have your license and insurance?
Arrests which have turned nasty, white abuse of power over blacks.
Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out.
Like Philando Castile in his car, police officers killing Breonna Taylor while she slept, or Ahmaud Arbery, who was mistaken for a thief by 3 white men while he was out jogging and killed. These crimes have traumatized the black community, who have not been slow to arm themselves in retaliation.
How you doing? Good to see you, man.
Mr. Smith, I'm Trenda Jones.
Nice to meet you, ma'am. Nice to meet you.
I know.
All right.
So then after that...
Philip Smith is the head of NAAGA, the largest black firearms group, which has 40,000 members in the U.S. The enthusiasm of Afro-Americans for shooting ranges is a recent phenomenon. 5 years ago, NAAGA had only 5 members. Historically, carrying arms is not part of Afro-American culture, barring a few exceptions.
So what's behind the name Buffalo Soldiers?
Oh, it's historic, based on the 9th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers. It was an all-black regiment of freed and runaway slaves.
Being proud of his cultural heritage was the very reason Philip Smith took up arms. And yet, nothing indicated that this former businessman, who came out of one of America's top universities, would one day be competition for the NRA.
In the last 18 months, there's been a 58% increase in African-American gun ownership. We are probably about 14 million African-Americans nationwide here in the U.S. that have guns now. That's a lot of folks, 14 million. The pandemic, to me, was the line in the sand. That combined with the political and racial tension that you have in the country right now, I'm not gonna call it a renaissance for African Americans, I'm gonna call it an awakening, because we've never had this many black folks in the United States having guns at the same time.
Are you not afraid as an African American to be shot by the police because you own a gun?
The worst thing that I can do is to say, you know what, I don't deserve this gun. My ancestors, Harriet Tubman, the Buffalo Soldiers, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Black Panthers of Self-Defense, the Deacons of Defense, Nat Turner, all those black men and women, and many, many more organizations, they died for nothing. The one thing we should do after a black person is shot is the next day we all should carry. Historically, African Americans have been given this socialization that we do not need to have guns. We're the only community ethnically in the world that believes that. Now just think about that statement. You don't need guns to protect yourself, but everyone else around you has guns. What kind of crazy mental state do you have to be to believe that? And people wonder why, okay, why are black men being attacked on a Sunday after looking at houses and jogging and 3 white guys drive by in a truck and jump out and beat him up and shoot him? Why does that happen? Because we continue to act like it's okay to be a soft target.
Statistically, compared to white Americans, black Americans are 18 times more likely to be shot at and 10 times more likely to be killed with a firearm. Newark, New Jersey. This town, across the river from the rich districts of Manhattan, is a classic example. With a mainly black population and riddled with gangs, poverty and violence are endemic. Despite stringent gun laws here, on average, 1 person dies from a bullet in the head every day of the year. Rutgers is the largest hospital in New Jersey. The ICU is almost exclusively reserved for firearms casualties. And the surgeons who work there are specialized in ballistic injuries. Dashawn Ware was operated here a year ago.
Hey, come on in. How are ya?
Dr. Stephanie Boney was the doctor who saved his life.
Have a seat.
That's fine?
Yeah. How you doing?
This has been a long time in the making.
So how are you feeling today? Like, how are things going?
I just recently had a reconstructive surgery from when you guys weren't able to actually close up the stomach because, I was so swollen.
Yeah.
So much other things.
Can I take a look? Can I see what they did?
Sure.
All right.
So this is the plastics team.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. So did you have a colostomy? Remind me.
No,
Okay.
thank God, never
This is the bullet hole.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Bullet wound I did. So much damage to my stomach. I mean, I'm a puzzle, but I'm still here, so.
Here. So you had this one.
Dashawn received 6 bullet wounds when trying to protect his brother during a gang dispute. It was touch and go whether he would survive. All those who get shot in the abdomen undergo the same operation.
So originally, he's had his belly put back together, and that's where we took skin to cover other places. When we first did it, there was so much swelling in his belly that we left him open, and then we put skin over. So for like probably 6 months, he could look down and see his like intestines just under the skin.
Physically, I have a drop foot, so this helps me walk. If I take this off, I would be tripping all over the place because my foot can't pick up. This was a graze wound. Got shot in my arm. I had a nerve graft right here to help my hand with some kind of function. So I'm still a work in peace. It's not done yet. not done yet.
Yeah, the foot drop is going to be permanent. The hand can still be worked on. The skin scars are there. And then there's the emotional scars, you know.
To answer your question, I think it'll be a lifetime process of me trying to figure myself in order to move forward from this.
Come here. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Oh, you give the best hugs. You really do.
Stephanie Bonney is one of the major trauma specialists in the U.S. Since arriving in Newark a dozen years ago, she has become an expert in gunshot wounds.
A lot of people don't realize or understand what happens after somebody gets shot. We're very good at sort of counting the number of people who die, but there's really very little attention paid to the people that are shot and survive. And that's a lot. It's a lot of people. And so a lot of times people are never really the same. They might have all kinds of injuries that they can never recover from. Some people may require amputations, they might have bad hernias, they might need colostomy bags, there's all kinds of things that are really life-changing. I had worked in a lot of cities around the country, but in Newark, we saw really so much violence, and it was the first time that I had really seen it in so much detail and with so much volume. Hey.
Stephanie Bonney always keeps in contact with patients whose lives she saved, regardless of their past or present status.
You got the best daddy. She's perfect. Hey. She's perfect. Yes.
Carter stole from drug traffickers. He paid dearly for it.
So you were shot 25 times?
Altogether, yeah. 2016, 18 times. 2018, 7 times.
How did everything heal up? Yeah, so there's your belly.
Yeah.
This is the first time or the second time?
The first time.
First time, right. And then the second time was all of these,
Yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and here and here. Remember the arm here, and then the back too. One, two, yeah, all over.
Carter has a heavy conscience.
Think about it either.
It's because of him that his brother and girlfriend were killed. There's still a contract out on him, and he's been forced to leave New Jersey. He writes poems and visits schools to ensure that future generations don't follow the same path as he did.
This is the first poem I ever wrote. I can still hear Kelly's last scream so vividly in the back of my mind. I can still see Eric's last moments on the stretcher and me and my mother and sister all standing around. They say time heals all pain, but that must be a quote that just sounds good, because every day my pain seems to hurt me deeper. I just refuse to talk to a therapist who's a stranger, so I spilled my bitter and angry thoughts on this sheet.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Everybody should hear that. Everybody should hear that. Okay? Gun violence looks like an infectious disease. It looks like the flu sometimes. You know, one person gets it and then the next person and the next person and the next person. And given the volume that we see, the number of people that are affected, it absolutely can be characterized as an epidemic.
Gun violence may not be a new phenomenon in the ghettos, but it's been spreading like gangrene through the rest of the country. Jacksonville, Florida. This typical middle-class American city is no exception. Here, like everywhere else, a section of its youth has been wiped out by the epidemic, and families have had to be reconstructed. Crystal, 56, is bringing up her grandchildren since the brutal death of her daughter. She's one of the many grandparents who have replaced parents at the school gates. This is a direct result of the weapons war.
How old were they when you got to take care of them?
Roy was 5. Roy had just turned 5 that February, and Royce was 23 months old. That's been hard to accept, that she should be calling me Yaya just like the rest of my grandchildren, but she calls me mommy, so. This is like our family wall. It's the last family photo we all took together. It's my 50th birthday. We were able to capture that moment of us all being together, not knowing that that would be the last family picture that we would ever take.
Crystal was the head of a close-knit family. She worked alongside her 4 children. Their business was thriving. The archetype of the American dream. Up until the day her daughter, Jenya, decided to divorce. For 2 weeks, Crystal's son-in-law secretly planned a massacre. Even though he'd never touched a gun in his life, he managed to obtain an illegal firearm. He shot and killed Jenya, and a few minutes later, her brother Putter. Ever since, Crystal has been organizing meeting groups for all the parents in the community who have lost loved ones, to ensure that these murdered lives are more than just a memory on a t-shirt.
So we ain't gonna make this hard. We just gonna talk. We all are dealing with what that loss looks like for us individually. And so that's really our topic today. What has that experience been like for you? And how has it changed you and brought you to this place that we're all standing in today because of gun violence?
One of the things that I learned after Jordan was killed, after you sit on the couch, after all the cameras are gone, after all the people are gone, you're in the room by yourself. So now you say, do I roll into a fetal position and stay in the bed for weeks at a time, or do I get out on the street and make something happen and make sure that everybody in the world that you can touch knows your child?
I stood with the family even before you even knew my name, Ron. I remember my son sitting with my son, Maurice, and my daughter sitting on the couch and just watching everything unfold on the news. And Maurice said, "Mom, that could have been me." And you know, it's just at that moment, you know, it's just my stomach just kind of sunk in. And I remember looking at my son and telling him that would never be you. And here I am. Yeah. You got me there.
And I remember the morning Tasha called me, and on the other end of my phone was, "Rhonda, they took your nephew." And I will never forget that phone call a day in my life. And I remember you were there, and I fell to my knees. I fell to my knees. And I remember telling you, I don't ever want to feel that pain. And a year and a half later, here we were together. Tosh was at the hospital with me because my son was now gone. We're all in the same room.
The unbearable pain is coupled with the horror of not knowing why their sons died or who killed them. Years after the murder, these parents have no choice but to hand out flyers and conduct the investigation themselves, so that the slightest clue might one day lead them to knowing what happened. Ron Davis is the only one of them who knows who killed his son and why. 17-year-old Jordan's story got a lot of media attention. a documentary was made about him. In the space of 3.5 minutes, and with 10 bullets, 50-year-old Michael Dunn shot him dead.
There were 4 guys in a car, and they drove into a gas station. Michael Dunn, he rolls down his window, and he told the kids to cut the music off. That loud music bothered him, so he decided that was enough. And he reaches into his glove compartment, pulls out his gun, unholsters it, slides it back, turns around, and starts shooting in the car full of kids. They back out the driveway, they're trying to get away. He runs to the back of his car, gets into a stance, and starts shooting 4 more bullets into the car. He shoots 10 bullets into the car trying to kill all the kids. And he only shot my son, he hit him twice.
To take away from this experience, as difficult.
It took 17 months and 2 trials for the murderer to be convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. But for Jordan's father, the real cause of his son's death is guns in circulation.
See, he wouldn't have that bravery, and many of these people that kill people, they're brave because they have that gun.
Yeah.
They would ordinarily cow down and not say anything.
Yep.
So you become brave. I got a gun, I'm brave. Mm-hmm. And then when you get in a situation because you're brave, now you want to use that gun.
What do you say about people who say it's not about the gun, it's about the person?
I say it's always about the gun. The reason why it's all about the gun is because the gun manufacturers, okay, they making trillions of dollars. Where do they spend the most money? They send it to Congress, they send it to the Senate, they send it to all these people that make the laws to keep the guns flowing.
Yep.
That's money.
Yep.
And if you see kids here in
The
Jacksonville,
weapons business still has a bright future. And in Arizona, where people live with fear in their hearts and guns at their waists, this is good news.
Stand by. Fire!
At Gunsite, the week's course is coming to an end for the trigger-happy participants. They've come up through the ranks, and now they're ready to attack. However, the center likes to refute this image and even prides itself on being a non-violent pacifist organization. Its creator, Colonel Jeff Cooper, has even developed a technique to teach students how to not use their gun. A color-coded system which outlines the degree of risk before drawing one's weapon. Ed, a former top officer in the Border Police, credited with 60,000 arrests and around 15 deaths, demonstrates how this works.
There were hundreds of times during my Border Patrol career when I went, no! Or stop. And stop someone in their tracks before they could pull the gun or the knife. But because I was fast, knew what was going on, was ahead of them, I was able to stop it and prevent having to shoot anybody. But that's because of what I learned here at Gunsite. It changed my life. It saved my life.
Look! Step! Pivot!
Gunsite is more than just a training camp. It offers a style of life. Evaluating the danger on a scale of 1 to 10, talking down the assailant by shouting loudly at them, repeating if necessary, and then shooting them on the spot if they don't obey. Once the course is over, these men and women all plan to permanently carry a weapon, and woe betide anyone who wants to prevent them.
You see blue? We don't like the government threatening to take our guns away. We don't like that at all. They're trying to say that people like me are domestic terrorists. I'm a former police guy. I'm a former military guy. I own guns. I have a flag in my yard. I voted for Donald Trump, so I am a domestic terrorist. There might be another revolution in this country. I hope not. I pray it doesn't happen, but it could happen.
A country split in two, deeply divided. Whereas one part of the population is fighting against the spread of firearms, Gunsite's new graduates are encouraged to bring in new recruits, even from their own families.
First and foremost, let me say thank you. Thank you for being safe. When you go out to the range again, you find a young person. There's a lot of young people in here, but we need more. We need more of these young people who will be defenders of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, and if you teach these young people to be responsible with firearms, they are going to be responsible with drinking and driving and dating and life in general. Friends, I'll see you back at Gunsite.
This rhetoric, akin to that of a sect, plays on the values held dear by Americans: faith, family, homeland, and bearing arms for self-defense. Maintaining order and justice, provided that the law of retaliation doesn't, one day, turn into a civil war.